So, Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome.
Hello.
Ladies, gentlemen. Wow, what a session. When Abhi Rai first presented this idea to me a couple of months ago, I said, what? We just come out of the KirtanFest, which was quite an exhausting experience. And then he said, well, let's have a KirtanFest. I said, okay. We're just trying to pull ourselves up and get ourselves together. And then we had a fire, burnt down half the temple. I said, now we've advertised for a KirtanFest. So it's just one thing after another, and then we start to get our act together with the fire. We start to rebuild, and then the barge breaks down, and then the cows go missing, and there's nobody to cook the Raj Boga, and then it's just one thing after another, and it's okay. So it's definitely time to have a KirtanFest, without a doubt. It's just one thing after another. Krishna. There's a nice verse in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, "Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha drida vrata namasyanchasta mambhakja nitya yukta upashate." Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So Krishna says, anyone who's chanting the name of God is a great soul. Samahatma sudurlabha. Krishna says, such a great soul is very rare. For somebody to come up and take up to the path of devotional service, that is rare. But for somebody to even endeavor on this path, just to even begin, just to chant the name of Krishna even once, that is a huge step on our cosmic journey back to Godhead. And we've all taken that step. It may be a little bit on the way of stagger, fall, and that may be there, but nonetheless, somehow or other, I look back, my last, 45 years of trying to be a devotee, and I think, how on earth did I get to this stage? I come from a place called Finglas, probably the most crazy suburb in the whole of Dublin, and there are some crazy suburbs in Dublin. And somehow or other I was plucked out of that environment, and just a few weeks ago on Radhastami I was bathing the deity, bathing Radha and Krishna in an abhishek. I mean, where do you go from there? There was one time I had some visitors when I was in Kenya, some visitors from America, and of course Americans, they want to see her, hey, let's go on safari. I said, okay, go on safari, okay. Where do you want to go? Let's go to the Congo. We've never been to the Congo. I said, well, I don't really want to go to the Congo. I mean, Kenya was pretty wild, but the Congo was even more insane. And they had a president at the time who was like a madman. I mean, there were coups and counter-coups and civil wars every day, still going on. Anyway, they persuaded me. So we went from Kenya to Uganda, and then we met up with some life members. We stayed in their house for the night, just on the border of Uganda and the Congo. They cooked us up some samosas, and the next day we went into the Congo. And it's just jungle. Everywhere it's just jungle, no roads. We're driving a Toyota Corolla in the middle of the jungle. I mean, it's just not designed for that. And so we stopped around noon to chant Gayatri and have our samosas that we had been cooked. So we're sitting there, finished the Gayatri, and we were sitting on the edge of a river. And across on the other side of the river came these pygmies out of the jungle. Completely they no Swahili, none of the local languages that I could even get a grasp of. Nothing. They were speaking in tongues, like that. And they were covered in war paint. Leopard skins and deer skins and feathers sticking out of everywhere. And I was thinking, oh my God. And they were all carrying spears, bows and arrows. They were obviously on the war path. Where they were going to, I had no idea. But they crossed the river. It was just like waist deep. And I had this half-eaten samosa in my mouth. And I was thinking, oh, what a place to go. What a place to die. I mean, this is it. This is the end of it. And they got to the other side. They surrounded our little car. And they threw their spears in a circle around the car. And they stuck their hands in the air and they all said, Hare Krishna! I don't know if I was, more surprised at that. My heart was leaping out of my mouth. I was thinking, my God, what's going on here? So one of them, he spoke a little Swahili, so I was able to communicate with him. So what is this? What's going on here? And after I'd calmed down and dragged my heart back from where it had gone and stuck it back in my body. And he said, well, years and years ago we were at a conference in Nairobi for indigenous tribes that was organized by the African Union or United Nations. And we saw the Hare Krishnas chanting on the street of Nairobi. That was Brahmananda, some years before. And of course, we were in a dhoti and tilak, shaved head and everything like that. And they saw the tilak and the shaved head and they just remembered from seeing the tilak. This is connected with Hare Krishna. And they had remembered the name from years and years and years before. And it wasn't even him. His father had been in Nairobi and he passed it on to his son. So if you ever see a white guy with this stuff on his face, so that was my, and so many experiences like that in Africa. What Prabhupada has done is absolutely inconceivable. Inconceivable. I mean, he went to Tompkins Square Park, sat under a tree with a pair of cartels and chanted Hare Krishna, and from there we end up in Fermanagh on Inishrat, with Radha Govinda here, what's going on in the cosmic sense of time, it's hard to say. But here we are, so many years later, where all of us coming together from all over the world, from all walks of life, all nationalities, and we're joining together to chant the holy names of the Lord. I mean, what could be better than that? And the power of the holy name, it is inconceivable. You all have stories, I'm sure, that you can relate of how the holy name has saved you in so many times, so many places. I know I have, but everywhere I've been, wherever I've been in a problem, chanting the names of the Lord, it's inconceivable. Immediately Krishna is there. Krishna is always there in the chanting of his holy name. He's always there. And we just have to get ourselves to the point of actually understanding and realizing that fact. Krishna is completely and totally invested all his energy himself in the chanting of the holy names of God. And here we are in Govinda Dweep, in Ishrat, chanting the holy names. So much, we're so honored to have all of you come and visit us and bless us with your association. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.